This is in the running for quote of the year, I think. Kyle Shanahan, 49ers head coach, he talked about Brock Purdy, who we saw last night, came back from the elbow surgery, had his first action since the NFC Championship game against the Broncos in preseason action last night. Shanahan said about Brock Purdy, he would have to melt in practice to lose the 49ers job, which blows my mind. We are 2 years removed from the Niners trading a boatload for Trey Lance, and now Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, Brock Purdy, would have to melt to not be QB1. That blows my mind, but here we are.
I think not enough is made about the Niners' disaster of the trade for Trey Lance. I mean, they traded 3 first-round picks for a quarterback who they're not even giving a chance to win the job. Like, he's not even getting a chance. Most of the time, you allow that guy a couple years to work through it, right? They end up, they end up like just getting reps, going through it all, figuring it out. But the Niners are in win now mode with their roster and decide to draft a quarterback who needed development. It makes no sense. They went all in for either him or Mac Jones, whoever was available, and ended up with no one, basically, right, Brian?
Yeah.
I have not seen a team like the Niners in quite a long time. They have the best left tackle in the game, the best pass rusher, the defensive player of the year in Nick Bosa. They have the best linebacker in Fred Warner, arguably the best running back in Christian McCaffrey. They have a top 3 tight end in Kittle. They have Hufanga on defense at safety, who's a young player, probably going to ascend in the top 5 of safeties. They have elite defensive line play. They have Deebo Samuel, who is one of the elite offensive weapons in the NFL, and yet they're not winning a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy at quarterback. It's not doing it. And it's remarkable that all of this can be changed, obviously, with getting with any quarterback that's not Purdy. If they got Matt Stafford, they would have won a Super Bowl by now. But they have Brock Purdy. It's not ideal.
How many games did he actually start at the end?
There's
7.
8. Yeah, 8 including the playoff games.
I mean, he's been around such a great offense, one of the best in the league, and we just don't know if he's, this year. Is he 100%? They say he's ready to roll. I mean, but we just don't know. He's only really started, even though 7. That's really only a handful of games in the NFL, and he made a great showing for sure. Anyway,
Crack. Here's the thing, though. Look at the history of the NFL. Even the history of like the last 20, 25 years. Your franchise, Tom Brady's the outlier of all of this, right? Otherwise, if you're winning football games, you're dealing with first and second round quarterbacks. Now, you have a Kirk Cousins in the 4th round who's not even on the team that drafted him. Dak Prescott, who wasn't even drafted to start. Romo got hurt. And I think everyone kind of thinks Dak Prescott has also kind of like reached his peak as far as the player he can be. And then Russell Wilson, who did it as a 3rd round draft pick. To think that Brock Purdy is going to be the next Tom Brady, it's just silly to me. Like, there's a reason why those guys that win every year are drafted very high. They're mostly the most talented players most often. Purdy can operate well in the system, but it's like those special plays. It's the things that set those upper echelon quarterbacks apart. I'm not sure he can do that.
Yeah, and you look at the regular season starts. Tell me which ones wow you, and tell me which ones say, oh, yeah, he's definitely a franchise quarterback. So he started in the regular season against Tampa, Seattle, Washington, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. Okay, and then we get to the postseason. They beat Seattle. They barely scored any points against Dallas. Dak had those 2 interceptions, and then he got hurt against the Eagles. What do you really know about Brock Purdy? I'm just stunned that there are so many people that are just convinced, like, they have their franchise quarterback. They're good. Based on 8 starts, that's just insane to me.
They are still stacked, I guess, with
they are.
McCaffrey, Deebo, Kittle. I mean, they are still stacked, but I mean, from a betting standpoint, I was just looking at the BetMGM over-unders. From a betting standpoint, I don't think the bettors are so confident on them. They haven't really got the action that some of the other teams, especially in the NFC West. For some reason, there's a big support for Seattle in the betting markets. I'm seeing from the. I actually, what I do, guys, I'll take the lines when they first come up, and I'll just make copies of them on my phone. So the lines when they first come up, when I'm talking about a season wins and stuff, way at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the year, they actually come up literally when the Super Bowl's over. They're working on next year's lines already. So, you see who got support and who didn't get support, and San Fran really isn't one of the ones. And it was probably just because of the quarterback situation. Of course, fans aren't going to put their money up for 6 months or whatever it may be and tie them up. I mean, it opened up like 10.5, and it's still 10. It's 10.5 over, shaded over a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
You know what's crazy, Crack, is you look at the odds of each team to win their division. Yeah. The Rams are getting no love. The Rams are 9-1. The Rams have the same odds to win the NFC West as the Texans have to win the AFC South.
Wow.
They're both 9-1.
18 months from winning the Super Bowl. Jesus.
Right. Yeah. I know they have a lot of young guys, and F them picks definitely hurt the core of the nucleus.
That's what it is, right? Is like you look at their offensive line, and there's question marks, big question marks there. You look at the depth on the team. Their top end is really good, right? You also have Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald.
Sure.
But then what?
Yeah.
Like what? That's the problem with the Rams. It's like, then what? Then what do you have? So I think it's kind of silly that they're that low, but I also think that I kind of have to see it. Like, I got to see Matt Stafford withstand a season where he might get hit a bunch because the offensive line's got to figure things out.
That's where you compare them to the Niners, who are deep, and Seattle with all their young guys from last year. That's a pretty deep team. I don't think they have quite the top end talent as the Rams do, but the Seahawks are much deeper. There's no doubt about that. Let's go to college football just for a second here, fellas, where there was something where I immediately thought of Geoff Schwartz this week. I thought of Geoff because of Coach Prime. Coach Prime at Colorado. Now, there was a little dust up in practice. We're going goal line over here. A touchdown is scored. The defensive player kind of, gives the people's elbow to the guy who just scored. A little pushing, a little shoving. Not everybody jumps into this thing. Here's what Coach Prime had to say to the rest of the team that just carried on without getting in the fight.
I seen two of y'all walking off over there, and you got to keep teammate fighting. What they do that at?
Nowhere.
What they do that at?
Not here.
In one fight, we all fight. You understand that?
No, sir.
I don't want to see y'all walking off when somebody's fight.
Yes, sir.
Never again.
Let's go! Come on! Like, I love this. I get it, man. Like, they were 1-11. They're not going to be fighting during games and getting 15-yard penalties. But if you're establishing some toughness, I love this. I also love the opposite.
That's fake toughness, buddy.
Maybe fake toughness. Okay, fine. And I'm inconsistent here. I admit it. I loved when Tony Dungy with the Colts was like, we're not fighting. It's stupid. We're not fighting in games. We're not doing that in training camp. I like that approach, too. I love two wildly different approaches, but I'm okay with this. You're not down with Coach Prime on this, Geoff?
So Deion wants his team to have an entire brawl because a few guys got a little dusty at the end of a play in the goal line.
Yeah.
That really serves practice time well. I've watched a lot of their hype videos. I think you need to focus on blocking and tackling a little bit better than fighting a little bit. Every hype video they put out, Shadur looks great. Travis Hunter looks good. They're not blocking anybody. Like the quarterback's running for his life every snap they put out there. I'm just out. I'm out on Colorado. I will tell you, they're getting 21.5 points, 20 points against TCU. And I really want to take Colorado because TCU they lost a lot of players.
And the toughness factor of Colorado, right?
And the what? They're real tough. Yeah. I just don't know much about Colorado. I can't do it week one. I can't do 20. They're getting 20.5 points. That's a stiff number, man. Like that's 42-21, and TCU barely covers that, right? Like I think that. I think the game will be much closer. I'm actually on Colorado's their win total under. I'm at 3. I think they're 3-9 this year.
I can't get to 4 wins. Crack. I'm looking at Colorado's schedule over here. Like Geoff said, they're at 3.5 season win total. I'm struggling to see 4 wins this season.
Yeah,
it's a slow build. I mean, it's going to take time for Coach Prime there.
I'm looking at the over/under season wins too, and Geoff, did you say you bet under Colorado?
Yeah.
What number did you get?
3.5.
3.5. Wow. It just seems like it's so easy to win 4 games, even the worst teams. But looking at their schedule, like Brian said, I haven't really looked deeply into this more than looking into Georgia. Listen, you guys probably know I'm on the other side of the fence on a lot of these things. I'm always looking to bet against the public. What's the public all over? They're all over Georgia. I mean, plus 2 to 1 to win the championship. God, some of these places. If there's yes/no markets, I would actually probably tend to bet the no minus 250 more than the yes plus 220 or 2 to 1. Just to let you guys know. Also, I'm just always try to put yourself on the bookmakers' side. So the bookmakers, they're going to be rooting against Georgia to win it all. You can guarantee it's, all those little $50, $25, $100 bets add up to a lot of exposure for the sports books.
Well, their schedule's a joke. Okay, they're going to be probably 12-0.
Yeah.
Their win total is 11.5, so you have one game of error. But look at their schedule. I mean, they're at Tennessee. That's about it, right? Maybe the cocktail party, whatever that game's called now. Florida might be better, but they're starting Graham Ertz, who was not good at Wisconsin. And I will very quick tidbit on Florida, since we're going to be there pretty soon. Florida goes to Utah August 31st. I'm fairly certain Utah's not playing their starting quarterback and their backups out for the season. Florida's at +7 right now. I don't know if Florida's any good. I don't know. Utah can certainly win this game 17-10 and push, right? 20-10 or 27. You can win it 35-28. I just, if you're down your third string quarterback, I'm not wagering on you. I'm actually wagering against you. So that's one thing I'm looking at in week 1 of college football already. But the win totals is fun, man. It's a long, you tie up money in that process, everyone. So you have to understand that. But I think there's a lot of value in some, especially in college. I don't think people pay attention as much to some of the college stuff as NFL, and there's ways to find some money.